Welcome, John. How are you? Could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and what you do all the way in India, in Bangalore?
Sure. As you said, my name is John Bertken, and I'm the whole school sports and activities coordinator at Stonehill International School here in Bangalore. Well, while COVID's presented a lot of obstacles to learning, right? It's also presented some opportunities, and some of those opportunities um, exist because we've learned now how to educate, unfortunately and fortunately, how to educate in a virtual environment, right? So that means that the student doesn't always have to be in the classroom. And that provides for other opportunities. It provides for opportunities such as internships or service projects or things where the student can get outside the classroom and not really miss a beat academically. Obviously, after school athletics and activities, I mean, how do you do that, right? So the word was out that we're not going to be able to provide any of this. And I thought, geez, we need to do something, right? Because this part of the, like I said, the educational ecosystem is crucial to the community and the, coming together. The community keeps people together, right? And the spirit of the school. So I met with some student leaders, and we created a website to be a platform for activities.
I
So that
love the website. You shared that with me. There's so many interesting activities, and I could totally see the student voice coming out. I like the fact that you involve the students. So, what is the favorite? What's your favorite thing that you worked on with the students?
you mean on the website or
Yeah,
just
yeah. From the
well, yeah.
outside perspective, that's what I saw. So I couldn't tell you with everything you've been working on, but from seeing it from the outside, I noticed the awards and the celebrations and the pictures.
Yeah. No, that's well, actually, the most enjoyable part of working on the website was actually the collaborative meetings with the students that you don't see on the website. And it would be actually, we probably should put these meetings on the website because the bloopers. You have some movies have bloopers at the end of it, and they're really entertaining. Well, our meetings were very entertaining, and the kids were very productive. And so, to be honest with you, the website that you see is a product of what I enjoyed most, really. And it's great. And the name actually, Let's Do More, at the time when we couldn't do anything,
Mm-hmm.
was very, not ironic, but it was very hopeful and optimistic. And yeah, there's some great things on there, from spotlight interviews on the TV aspect of it, where they interview the students who wrote books, to the to the governing council, head of the governing council. So there's a broad spectrum of that. There's challenges on there, fun challenges, lip sync competitions. It's just a good spot for people to come together when the time when we're all separated out.
What are the main changes you see in education where you're teaching?
Yeah, I think we're at a cusp of a new form of education. I think we're all trying to figure it out, and again, using the fact that COVID created something that maybe people didn't really like and appreciate that, but they know how to do it now, right? And so this new form of education, I'm excited about, because I can't wait to see it, because it allows the students to get out of the classroom and experience education. And so that's where the activities and and athletics has always been there, but more on the activity side, right? We have internship programs at our school that we're again, when I say we have them, we're coming off of COVID. So these are things that are in the mix for next year and playing out next year. But it begins at the 8th grade level. A lot of times internships for high school students are during the summertime,
Yeah.
and they're usually juniors, seniors in high school. But the idea of getting an eighth grader focused on entrepreneurship or some other aspect of marketing or whatnot, and doing it in this case virtually, right? So our eighth graders and our freshmen, sophomores, will be doing these internships on these virtual platforms with these companies that we're working with. And then the idea would be sophomores and juniors would then work with our partners, which are corporate partners, and go actually be physically at a work site, right? During the school year. So they might be at school 2 days, 3 days. I'm sorry, 3 days a week, and maybe at a work site 2 days a week or 1 day a week. But again, not really missing a beat academically because teachers know how to keep them in the classroom, or again, virtually they could be on the screen, or the creativity of projects, project-based learning. It is such a scary time for teenagers because they're coming into this new world. They're starting to be given more responsibilities, right? And they're learning how to deal with those responsibilities. But right around the corner is this thing called adulthood, and they don't really know and what that means for them, or if they're even capable of achieving expectations, right? Because parents have expectations, society has expectations. Before I was here, I was in Korea, and at one point I was a head of boarding for 220 students in Jeju, and the biggest fear I had there, right now, Korea has a high suicide rate.
Does it really?
Yeah, amongst teenagers, and my thing was, before that, I'd never really dealt with suicidal ideation. Now I'm living with it, right? And so you have a lot of conversations with these kids, and that was the number one thing, is that looking at the future and not knowing, right, what the future holds. So again, when we can start early, like you in 10th grade, looking at a career path, right? It gives you some kind of direction. It gives you some confidence because you've done it. You see what's good, what's not good, but you can work on it. The clearer the future can look for them, right? The more confident they have in addressing the future and moving forward. Pathway, again, is just something that, again, gives confidence because they see what they're capable of achieving. And you're absolutely right, because if they start going down the wrong path, I mean, here in India, many people graduate with an engineering major because parents expect them to be engineers. And maybe I'm overgeneralizing here, but people that I've spoken with, they're either doctors or engineers. So they go to school to do what their parents expect them to do. They graduate with an engineering major, and then they go into the career path which they actually want to do, which may have nothing to do with engineering, right? Okay. So again, if you have internships and they start off in these internships and they find that they don't want to be an engineer, at least it gives them some ammunition for an argument, to say, wait a minute, I don't really want to be this because of these reasons. So, I mean, I'm experienced it, and I know that this is in my pathway, versus, like I said, the unknown paths and people's expectations are very difficult sometimes. It's funny. I think that human nature, we like structure.
We do.
We want to know the boundaries.
Yes.
And once one of the in working in the past at one of the Schools of the Sacred Heart International Network of Schools of the Sacred Heart, they have 5 goals, and the one goal that I loved and really adhered to was one called personal growth in an atmosphere of wise freedom. Well, it's not total freedom, right? It's wise freedom. Wise freedom is where we come in. We set the boundaries, and once they know, and they're primary, they can be grade 2 or they can be grade 10, and they're going to come and they're going to push the boundaries, right? They're going to test the boundaries. That's what kids do, and they're supposed to do that, right? That's part of the learning process. But once they understand that those are the boundaries, then within those boundaries, we don't need to provide any more structure.
Yes.
They figure out what it is they need to do, staying within those boundaries. So they're going to be successful sometimes. They're not going to be successful sometimes. Right. And
And
this
that's
is
where
the
the guidance comes in, where you can
right.
tell. Yeah.
And when you give them that, there's incredible, like you were saying, I mean, you have grade twos who you were just listing out some of the skills that they have, and you're thinking, wow, that's amazing. Right. You know,
It is.
and I would never have thought they could have been that advanced, but wait a minute, I didn't give them the opportunity to be. Right.
Correct. Yeah.
Sometimes we create boundaries, but then we want to guide them each step of the way. And that limits them. Like you said, their creativity. There's no creativity, right? Because somebody's limiting them every step of the way.